Recently, someone has posted a guide full of false information regarding point tanks. Now, the point tanks in the game are Terminus, Inara, and Barik. The guide is so full of opinionated, wrong information that I am afraid that it might actually get people to lose some matches because they followed that guide. You know, it's the only one right now that relates to point tanks. And then maybe those players will keep on losing, you know. Oh, we've seen a pro player, a Diamond Plus player's guide, and now we lost, so we're bad at the game, let's uninstall. This is sad. Please, if you have your own opinions around anything, don't think they are correct, and that goes for me as well, okay? I always say in my videos that Treacherous Grounds Inara is a throw talent because it's counterable. I'm going to be going over all of the point tanks in this video. You've got to take into account the map you're on. Now, I've picked Terminus on Ice Mines because it is his maps. Now, this is just a 1v1 versus a bot, so I don't really care about winning or losing this. So, here's the thing. You have multiple loadouts for Terminus. You really need to have Abomination 5 in your loadout, because without this, you don't have your siphon up as much as you would have it without it. That guide claims you need this only at 3 points. Or maybe 2, I don't really remember, because it was so laughable. Let's just go with this loadout anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about why Terminus owns this map. Let's say you're on the defensive. You can hold off the entire high ground with your siphon. The enemy will not be able to shoot whomever is behind you. Even if you've pushed up over here, you're not gonna get shot at all if you're standing right here and using your siphon. If we move up a bit, like for example right here, yeah, gotta get some elevation first. Here, to this spot. You'll be guarding your entire team. Same thing for here, here, and even on, you know, the window side here. Your siphon's gonna block it all. This side. When this opens up, let's let Barik capture it first. This will open up, and you will be able to siphon it. Yep. You really get the most value out of Terminus on this map. So the best point tank and off tank, by the way, on this map is Terminus. Next, okay, the second best off tank on this map happens to be almost a tie between Khan and Ash. You've also got to take into consideration that you have vertical mobility as Terminus, which is good both near the point where you can invade the enemy's windows or nearer to the high grounds. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, see these platforms right here? If you jump on them, you've just gained the high ground. Not gained it, but reached it. Just a tiny note about Barik versus Terminus. You know, Barik's turrets will be feeding your siphon, so it's not a good matchup getting Barik versus Terminus, if Terminus was the point tank. Alright, about this spot, can you reach it with vertical mobility? Let's use a wall jump first. And here I am. If I need to get here on the offensive or the defensive, I can as Terminus, thanks to his vertical mobility. Basically what I'm saying is Terminus owns the space on this map. Wherever he goes, he's going to get so much value out of his siphon. All of these tight corridors will really hurt the enemy team when you have Terminus. Jaguar Falls is also a good map for Terminus. The problem with this map is your bans are almost set in stone. You know, most players ban Terminus and sometimes Moji, BK, and Reg. This is just really weird. You know, forced bans are really sad. At least they're map specific. Alright, so for example, if you have Terminus instead of Inara, your siphon will make space for whomever is behind you. So usually you would want to stand here at the very edge of the point, not over here, because anyone on the sides is going to be able to hit you. The only option for the enemy is to go behind you from this specific lane. They have to go here if they want to get behind you, or the enemy point tank is all that's going to be able to go ahead and flank you from behind if someone else is shooting you from the right side. You're going to always want to prioritize the enemy flanker or damage when you're shielding, because tanks don't deal that great of a damage anyway. Now on this lane, it's kind of possible to avoid hitting Terminus' siphon. However, once you've reached this spot, you can just siphon as much as you want if you're standing here, while the entire team, you know, gets some space and does something with it. Okay, same thing for this spot right now. You're still gaining space by using that siphon. I can almost say the very exact same thing about this spot. Look. If anyone is behind me, I can push and flank with whomever is behind me. Same thing about the other side, which is right here. You know, if you're invading the enemy backline using this entrance, whomever is holed up right here is gonna be forced to stop shooting because of your siphon. Same thing if you're over here and spawn camping them. You know, this is also a very great map for Terminus. Now, we're not gonna talk about Brightmarsh, it's also a great map for Terminus. You know, these three maps are his best maps. The thing about them is he makes so much space for his team, even if he is the point tank. You know, you're just gonna buy your team so much time. But here's the thing. In higher elo, you know, when you're playing with Masters and Diamond Plus players, most likely, all that's gonna happen to you and your siphon is you're gonna be buying that time and not getting shots at all, except maybe by a deployable, like for example Io's Luna or Barik's turrets. You know, those are the things that will keep on shooting you anyway. Maybe Furia, when she uses her mobility, she's gonna send those 3 projectiles and you'll be able to siphon them up as well. So at higher elo, you've got to manage that siphon way more than at lower elo. This doesn't make Terminus not viable. But on maps like Fish Market and Frog Isle, that becomes a problem, because let's go ahead and get into one of those maps and show you exactly what happens to Terminus on the point. Please ignore my item selection, I just randomly bought it instead of Cauterize. Well, whatever. Here's the thing. If I was siphoning that direction, I'll be shot from the right. If I was siphoning that direction, I'll be shot from under there or under there. This is an open map. Now let's just imagine dying to bots. Imagine dying to bots. Okay, I died to bots. Whatever. So basically, this map does not happen to, you know, it doesn't support Terminus's self-sustain. This is the issue with open maps for Terminus. You don't want Terminus on open maps because of the openness of that map fighting against your siphon's usability. So even if you're up here and siphoning, you know, yeah, you're making space, but as soon as you split from the point, what are you gonna do? You'll be shot from over there, you'll be shot from over there, anyone on the point can actually shoot you, anyone over there, same thing. Even when you're pushing, or actually no, not on the push, let's talk about the defense, okay? So the enemy is gonna be standing near this tree, or that one for cover, or even that one. So let's say it's overtime and you're forced to stand on the objective. You're trying to siphon from this direction where the enemy point tank is. You're getting shot from either sides. You know, you're getting flanked. Don't get flanked as Terminus. That's kind of the rule of thumb when you're playing Terminus. Don't let the enemy get behind you, because that's going to get you killed way too fast. Now, I'm not going to get into these maps, but you don't ever play Terminus on Timbermill. He doesn't work. He's going to be shot from multiple high grounds, or even sometimes ground level. He just doesn't work. It's an open map. It's a sniping map as well. Splitstone Quarry. Most of the time, an enemy backliner will be at the high ground, waiting for your siphon to deplete. Your enemy's point tank is going to be trying to get around you and force you to siphon in their direction, in which case the enemy flanker, you know, if your team didn't already deal with them, is going to have the time of day to be shooting you from either sides, either the, inside the building or under those stone rocks near the crusher. Now, you can use Terminus on Stonekeep, however, you must not lose the high ground, otherwise you're not gonna get any sustain from your siphon. Simply said, the enemy backliner might be shooting at you, the enemy point tank might be shooting at you, while the enemy flanker, for example, is poking at you from the high ground. And that's close range, by the way. So I would not play Terminus as a solo tank on Stonekeep. As a matter of fact, Terminus does not really work as a solo tank on any of these maps. You need your team to save the flanks. I mean, hold the flanks, You need some space. You need not to be worried about 3 directions you're gonna be shot at. Most of the time, the 2 directions you will be shot at from are the enemy point tank shooting you from behind while you're siphoning, for example, the enemy Vivian or the enemy Dredge or whomever else. This is the real case scenario. You will be shot at from 2 directions. You can handle that pressure, but you cannot handle 3 directions at the same time. As a matter of fact, on Serpent Beach, if your team does not help you fend off one of the lanes, you're not gonna have a good time playing Terminus as a point tank. It really is a, a tank that needs the entire team to be doing their job. You need your support to be ready and on their toes for when you're out of cauterize, because your siphon gets you out of cauterize when you're hiding behind it. And then you're gonna need your off tank to hold off the enemy coming from one lane, while you're going to need your damage and flanker to be actually doing something about all the damage you will be siphoning. Which in most cases you won't be siphoning anything because the enemy is just going to stop shooting, which is good. It is good. However, keep in mind that once you don't have calamity charges or your siphon up, you're pretty much dead. So the verdict on Terminus is, yes, he is the point tank. However, not on these 2 maps. He does not work on these 2. Simply put, the enemy will be putting pressure on you from multiple directions, like 3 directions most of the time. One more thing, let's go ahead and look at the champions in the game. Khan. Khan makes Terminus cry. So if Khan isn't banned, picking Terminus as a point tank might actually not be a good idea. I can almost say the same thing about picking Furia against Terminus, because it's really easy to hit that, Terminus with the beam as Furia, and that beam goes through his siphon and stuns him. Any stun on Terminus really puts the hurt on him. And this is why I do not always say that you always pick Terminus, he's the best point tank ever, or what. You've got to take the situation into context. Here's the thing about context. If you're Terminus and you're playing against Inara on Bright Marsh, for example, Inara's Warder's Field goes through your siphon. It also applies a slow. During that slow, Inara can block off the point or the window, whatever she likes, any side, and then just go behind you and start poking you for that damage. And that damage does build up fast. If your support relies on lines of sight and happens to be near the houses instead of near the window, you're pretty much not going to have a good time playing Terminus. So he is team dependent. You cannot play any point tank without having the team doing most of the job for you, removing pressure from the point. That must be the case. However, Inara has much more tolerance to that pressure due to her base kit. So, if I'm on Bright Marsh and Terminus isn't banned, here's my mindset about who to pick. Of course, as you've seen in most of my videos, since I'm doing, in a duo with a Grandmaster most of the time, I'm always going to be last pick because I'm in Diamond 4. Well, whatever, rank shaming aside and all that, here's the thing. If I play Terminus into Inara, I always start by off-tanking with my team, because Inara is just going to make you cry as Terminus, you know. The field's slow and damage might not be much, but still it's annoying to deal with. You can try to swing and destroy that obelisk, but it requires 3 shots if the obelisk isn't buffed by this. Look at this. Earthen Guard, reduce damage taken by you and your deployables. This is one of your deployables. If this is active, you need 4 swings to destroy the field without having Bulldozer, which is really, really annoying. You know, you can't expect your team's Terminus to be able to destroy the field. Now, here's the thing. You don't need to be playing Cripple Inara or Treacherous Grounds against Terminus. You don't need it. I don't know why people think that Terminus even uses his Shadowfall. Let me just tell you why, okay? The thing about Shadowfall is, most of the time, it's a vertical mobility ability that you use to reach different spots, like leaping over a wall in Bazaar, for example. You don't just use Shadowfall all of a sudden just to land that 500 damage. All that this does is make you vulnerable for attack way too much. It's just like a I want to die button. Most of the time it's like that. People don't use Shadowfall when the point tank has, you know, the enemy point tank is contesting you. You don't use it. The enemy backliner will immediately notice and hear you jumping, and then Cassie's just gonna pump in that combo of hers and deal between 1280 and 2k damage to you, depending on whether or not you can put up your siphon in time. Basically what I'm saying is, the people who think that you need this as Inara against Terminus are basically, you know, unexperienced. Now, let me talk about pick rates. I'm going to need to record a bit of my desktop for this, so hold on. Okay, so basically, as you can see, each and every single Discord of mine, you know, Discord server, is related to Paladins. Okay, whatever. Just a weird flex. So this is the bot that's on the official and the Reddit Discord servers. This bot helps you determine which talent is the most picked. You've got to understand something, however. Just because Treacherous Grounds has a higher win rate doesn't mean it's the best. This pick rate means more consistency. I do not care about how you would look at these statistics. You know, I know that there are other things, you know, like a trust factor or whatever else, that do have a meaning on how good the data is. You know, still, statistically speaking, the higher pick rate for me means that this talent is more consistent. This kind of is an evidence that this is the better talent. I don't look at the win rate. Consistency at picking and winning is better than, oh, it's picked 10% of the time and it wins 56%. This 6% to me personally does not mean anything. Okay? If you pick Treacherous Grounds Inara in ranked, you'll be seeing everyone freaking out, hey, don't throw the match, you're gonna get countered. Because you will. Now, guess what that guide that I'm talking about states here? Oh, you don't put the obelisk on the point. Inara isn't supposed to be on the point. You put it near a door. Well, what do you do at the start of the match? You go and cripple the entire enemy flank with your entire team. Yes, right? Yes. However, the enemy will know that you're picking Cripple Inara. They will know not to get close to you. They will know to retreat and shoot that obelisk or shoot you or whatever else, and then you don't have a talent. Here's the thing about the obelisk. 3 shots from Barik destroy it, and any support helping him out will make that 2 shots, which is 2 seconds. If the enemy starts buying Bulldozer, which is kind of the case on supports, after they buy Kronos if they need it, they're free to buy Bulldozer. If you're playing with Io, she's an item free support. She can buy Bulldozer and help destroy that obelisk, even though it doesn't really add up to that much damage against it, but still, she's items free, so she can do that to help her point tank or off tank or whatever. Okay? Here's the thing. Treacherous Grounds isn't good. I don't care if you put it behind a wall or a door. The talent's consistency means this. If you're not already winning, you cannot block off an entrance. You're gonna be running straight to the point to touch and get the overtime, and then what is your talent going to do? What is it going to do? You're not CC immune. You're basically going to be taking more damage. Your damage reduction is only 30% after all, and if you add up the field's DR, it's not going to be 50%. It's going to be affected by diminishing returns. So no, treacherous grounds, it's not that, oh, I don't know how to play it, or oh, you just know how to counter it, you don't know how to play it, like that guide keeps on stating. No, don't run treacherous grounds. Don't play it. You've picked Inara, you're a point tank. That's your job. One more thing, Tremors, look at the pick rate. Look at the win rate. Why is this? Well, simple enough, because this is a supremely high skill, high reward talent. What do I mean by supremely high skill? Well, actually, let me just say it like this. I am going to be uploading a video soon that shows you two really good players playing two good champions on Brightmarsh and using Tremors on Inara. One of them is going to be playing Inara. Then you'll understand what Tremors does. It's going to lose them a point and it's going to win them the match. Of course, the thing is, it could have happened either way, but still, watch that video when it comes out. Now, here's the thing about win rate versus pick rate, and why you should never ever consider looking at win rate in a blind fashion. This 56% win rate doesn't mean that Mother's Grace is worse than Treacherous Grounds. No. You've got to know the match count, and they, the people in that guide, the ones that are defending it, have linked me to the source of their information. And guess what they say? 56% win rate out of 2K matches is really great, because in Diamond Plus, any win rate above 50% means this is the best talent. What? Do you even realize how to count? Like 2, 3, 5, 5 matches times 0.56, you've only won 1,318 matches with Treacherous Grounds in Diamond Plus. Let's scroll down a bit and find Inara on Mother's Grace. It's right here. So 17,000 matches, that's the count, times the win rate, which is 0.52, you've won 9K matches. See the difference now? This is how you look at consistency, okay? I don't care about, Treacherous Grounds requires skill. You don't go on point. You don't rotate your cooldowns like the same way on Mother's Grace. No, I don't care. On overtime, you're going to be forced to sit on the point. Okay, you're not gonna go and block off an entrance. You're gonna get the early game advantage, when you're with your entire team and off tanking with them as Inara. And then, once your obelisk is destroyed, you have no talent. Then, once the late game comes and the enemy buys Bulldozer, they will buy Bulldozer because the damage doesn't have all day to deal with your obelisk to save their own point tank. They're gonna need to get rid of it faster. Sometimes the support will be buying Bulldozer instead because, well, most supports only need Chronos and maybe morale boost, and the other items are optional. You can have the budget to buy Bulldozer and help your point tank stay alive by destroying the obelisk. This is how you think of talents. Counterable, not counterable. This is the main way. Now that we're done with Terminus' talk, let's talk about Inara. Now, here's the thing. A good player will tell you that the difference between Inara and Terminus is really minuscule. Let me explain why. Basically, let's say you're on Ice Mines, for example, or Jaguar Falls. Terminus is pushing up on a lane. You have an option to stop him from pushing with his allies, especially if it's on a tight corridor, at the start of the match. Simply put, wall him and stop his teammate from being able to heal him or deal damage. Let him be at the front and take all of the damage. Don't shoot his siphon. All you do after you've walled him is play aggressively. Use your cooldowns aggressively, not your earthen guard. Don't waste it on him. Move closer, put the obelisk, your warder's field, on him. That will deal damage even through his siphon, and it won't give him any charges, any calamity blast charges. Then rotate around him, and then suddenly he's forced to either be walling off or siphoning off your damage or your backliner's damage, or whomever is behind you. In that situation, Terminus is gonna get bullied in a corridor by Inara. Yes, he's an off tank, but at the start of each round, you start with your team most of the time. This strategy, however, requires you to have a corridor where your wall will trap him. You can't just do it in the open. What he will do is he's gonna keep his siphon in your face while rotating to behind your wall, and then your wall is gonna give him cover. He can be healed by his support, and then once your wall is down, well, your wall is down. Furthermore, if you have given him the space to retreat behind your wall and wasted your obelisk just to deal that damage while slowing him down, well, the thing is, you're now only on one cooldown if you didn't use your Earthen Guard. So the thing about Inara countering Terminus is the case in most of the time, but Terminus can play around it. This is why Terminus is just one small minuscule step above Inara. Let's go back here for a bit. Here's one thing that you never use statistics for: determining which is the best, determining what is the greatest. It doesn't always work in a linear fashion. Look at this. Inara, she has 17k matches. That's a lot of matches. 52% of that are victories, meaning that 9k matches were won with Inara playing Mother's Grace. That's good. Okay, I know that it's not much more than the losses, which are about the same number, another 9k, but still, she is picked way more than Terminus. Now look at Decimation, 6k matches. Look at Crush, his second best talent, 1.8k matches. Let's just add those up, okay? I'm not gonna disregard Crush this time. So 6491, a total of 8389 matches, and the win rate is gonna be 52% or 53%. Let's just use the lower number, doesn't matter. 5.3. So, oh, sorry, I need to. Here's the thing about using statistics in your arguments. Just don't, okay? Hear me out why, okay? None of the matches in a 5v5 game are gonna be exact matches. You've got map variance, you've got loadout variance, you've got talent variance, so many things. No matter how much you filter, like by player rank or by map or by, for example, a certain champion, no matter what you do, the data cannot be trusted that highly, even if the confidence interval is high. I don't care about that. Blood Reaper, the ultimate talent, the talent related to your ultimate, okay? This isn't a good talent. It has the highest win rate in the game right now because there are only 130 matches. What do you expect? You can't use confidence interval as an argument. Even if the win rate on both of Io's talents, Goddess, Blessing, and Lifelink is the same, the pick rate is way higher. I don't care about this confidence interval because it's being picked more, meaning that it's winning more matches. The win rate percentage is related to how many matches are played. Let's calculate that right quick, just so that you'd understand this. So, this is how many matches there are, this is how many wins there are. 9,521. This is more than the times that lifelink is picked. You know what this means? Let's look at the other talent, okay? 1993 times 0.63. Oh, 1,255 matches. Please, that's not how you use statistics. The trust factor of any data relies on there not being so many variables, which in this case there are. So please, don't come to me using statistics as a proof of anything. They don't mean anything to me personally. To others, they might. I only like it when they, the win rate and the match count are high. So if I want to, filter this data, I would filter by match count. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. We already done that. I'm just getting off the point, this video is about point tags, but look at this. Victor Burst Mode has 27k matches and Roxas 24k. This alone gives you such a good idea. Inara, Mother's Grace, so many matches. Khan, Vertex Rip, so many matches. This is just the way that oh, this is what everyone's playing. They're winning more than 50% of the time. Okay, maybe not on Eminence, on Lian, but still, that's how you learn which is good and which is not. As a matter of fact, since we're here, we're gonna look at Lian. Some people think that presence is worth anything, that it's good. Some people even have the blasphemy in their minds to say that presence is better than Eminence just because Eminence is bugged and at maximum range it's going to randomly deal only 800. No, that's not the case. Let's just go ahead and find the other talent. So, looking for Lian, Alacrity, Precision. There are only 609 matches, 300 of which were won. There is a reason for that, okay? I'm not gonna keep it for another video. It goes like this. Once you've shot the same person 5 times with precision, you've dealt only an extra 280 damage to them. It only works against Raum, and even then, it's bad. Just run Eminence anyway, okay? Enough of this, let's go back to the point tanks. Just keep in mind the numbers. Barik, he's being played 30,000 matches versus Inara, which is 70k matches. Where's Terminus? Let's scroll down. There he is, 6k matches. He's being picked less. This should give you an idea about why people only play Terminus on Jaguar Falls and Bright Marsh and Ice Mines, which is his best map. Ice Mines is his best map. Alright, let's just go back into the game, okay? Here's the thing about running Inara on Jaguar Falls versus Barik. This, by the way, is something that if you've watched the PPC, you might have seen this being a thing. Barik being picked instead of Inara. It's not a bad strategy. As a matter of fact, it has way too many good reasons for it. You see, Barik's shield doesn't block your allies, projectiles, or shots. On this map, this is great. This is just way too great. What does Inara do with her wall? Well, she can either, stop someone from touching the point like this. For example, let's just place the wall over there. And then she's open to fire from either flank, which is basically what happens. You rarely ever see someone coming over there in higher elo. Maybe if a backline damage that only works against point tanks or something, if there is something like that, then you would see that. But no one comes over there. Most of the time, everyone's gonna come through one of the two sides. The factor that determines which side it is the enemy composition and yours. If you have knockback abilities, you're gonna favor that direction. If you don't, you're gonna favor that direction. Okay, Khan. Just let me live in peace, please. Leave me be. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's say I'm really low, and then I wall the point while waiting for my support to help me and support me. Where's my support's positioning? It's here. It's over here. They have to force their own positioning if they rely on line of sight just to come and heal me. This is a map specific issue. It's not an Inara specific issue, but still you've got to understand why so many times people think that their support is bad while they are the ones that are bad. They're forcing the support's positioning. Why do so many people cry about this? You know, when I finish editing that Furia video, you know, the one I named as how to troll your viewers, well, you're gonna see exactly what I mean by you as a support forcing your team, and yes, I'm saying forcing your team to not force your position by using communication. More on that in that video. Let's talk about the strategy about Barik that was seen in the PPC recently, one of the newer matches. Okay, so basically what's happened is they were in Jaguar Falls. The team was clearly a console team. You know, the PPC is mixed between PC and console, which is something that I don't understand how it works. I don't care, really. So they could have picked Inara or Terminus, I think. No, Terminus was banned. So what happened? Basically, they picked Barik because they had Vivian and Talos, where is he, Talos, as well as Moji. How do you lose with these three? Well, simply enough, if someone was griefing the team by blocking off an entrance with that wall, you know, sometimes people are noobs, you can't expect much from people. Sometimes, you know, let's just speak back for now. Sometimes that wall will save an enemy. So they decided to go with Barik just because they can shoot through the shield. By the way, if you've recently gone and tried to import my loadouts, don't try this one yet. I have yet to ever encounter a cripple Inara in ranked in order to test this, whether or not it works. The basics of it was like, oh, what if my shield, you know, the speed buff, it's a 5-second speed buff, I think. Let's look at this. Yeah, 5 seconds. What if this saves me from that cripple? And then Inara is not gonna be doing much to my dashes. Still, I don't recommend this. You know, if you followed my guide, the one that I use against her is this one. But just wait until I can confirm this is good. Okay, whatever. I picked it. Just going to show you the spot that you put your shield on. If you are right at the edge and place your shield down, you can't get shot. Just move a bit closer. You can't get shot from the flanks. His positioning for the shield would have saved a, you know, a support being here, but no, don't use it like that, okay? Now, I know that I already have a video specifically for Barik. It's just a math video. It doesn't have any tips on gameplay or anything. But you've already seen the statistics. This is being ran way more often than Fortify. And Tinkering isn't seeing any play because it simply is a way too different and has way lower damage at close range than the others. Here's the thing. You don't win a game unless you capture at the last point, you know, from 3 points to 4. It has to be a capture or a push. So this does nothing for you on a point fight. You're already on the point, okay? So when would you run Tinkering? Simple enough, in casuals, when the other team doesn't have a tank, and thus your weapon won't be dealing neither the 500 damage nor the 750 damage at, you know, close range. So that's the only scenario where Tinkering can be considered. You know, Timber Mill isn't being seen anymore. It's out of the rotation. Thanks for that being the case. I really hate that map. So don't run Tinkering. There are literally no situations that are real that will make this good. Now, I'm not gonna go over Fortify. It's a good talent. It's just that you need to know what you're doing in order to pick it first. So keep that in mind. You can check the text guide for when to pick it or when not to pick it. Let's just go ahead and talk about the self-sustain again on Barik, just in a 1 minute. I'm not gonna take any more time on it. The sustain on Barik is double time. It's a dash, you know, when you dash, it heals you for 750. You have to use your shield to get out of cauterize before using this. Otherwise, you're not getting any value out of it. So there is a situation where you can get value out of it even under Core-Rise when you have 2 dashes, which is this card, Failsafe. Once you fall below 30% of your health, you will get a second dash, and you can dash twice in a row. So basically, you put your shield up, you dash, you will lose half the value of the first dash because Core-Rise lasts 1.5 seconds, and then the second dash is going to give you the full value. That will heal you for about 1200 health. If you have the full value of both of them, you're going to get healed for 1500. Okay, so basically it's a good ability, it's a good thing, a good sustain. This gives you even more sustain on your dash. However, you have to keep something in mind. In my own playstyle, I rarely ever get shot for the 600. I still play this, you know, this is my go-to loadout each and every single time. Literally. I have yet to lose a match while I'm playing this loadout because simply I'm always with a duo. You know, my duo is always the backline damage. I am Barik, but I still can buy them space. I can go off point. And by the way, Inara can go off point too, if you know what you're doing. You know, don't assume that Inara cannot do anything other than stand on the point. If she's on any flank lane, she's a threat. She's pushing the enemy backwards. She's sponging up all the damage. Okay? They can go off point. You know, Terminus isn't just a point tank. He's good as an off tank too. So don't keep the mindset that, oh, these are point tanks, you're supposed to sit on point all day. No. Get off the point if you can get an elimination against the enemy support. That will give your team the advantage. Then, since you're playing Barik, you probably can use your dash to both heal yourself and retreat to cover, especially if you're running this. This is the main reason I run Bowling Ball. It will sponge up the damage if I'm in that situation. And Failsafe allows me to dash twice, meaning that I'll get 2 shields and get healed twice. This is really great. Okay, the sustain on his turrets, we've already covered this before, but I really like field deploy more than healing station, regardless of the fact that this requires the turrets to hit something, while this does not. You know, this is just a case of preference. There is a scenario where healing station is going to be better, which is you've just retreated to cover and the enemy cannot follow you, because if they do, they're out of position and they're going to get punished for it. Then you can use this to heal up over 3 seconds for 300, or maybe a little bit more if you run it at 5. But still, go watch the full video if you want to see the full math on why I run field deploy instead of heal station and which one of these loadouts is the best. Just don't use this one yet. As I've said, I have yet to ever test this card out. Okay, I don't know if I can move forward, get into the shield, and then back away from her obelisk, which, by the way, you know, in most matches, I just ask my damage and support to just waste 1.5 seconds. You know, that's the maximum amount, by the way. It's usually 1 second. If they both shoot at it, the obelisk doesn't exist. The obelisk has a maximum of 1950 health, if I remember correctly, meaning that, for example, Victor, 1 second spent on the obelisk is 1200. One shot from me as Barik, that's 500. One shot from a support, that's 450 most of the time. Well, not one shot, but still, I'm saying in general. So yeah, the obelisk immediately disappears. This is why I don't need a loadout versus Cripple Inara. I just use my communication against it. So don't run this. Don't run this. I have still yet to test it. Okay, let's wrap up this video. Terminus, on his maps, you pick Terminus. His maps are Ice, Mines, Jaguar Falls, and Bright Marsh, and that's it. Inara, anywhere, anytime. If Terminus is banned and the enemy picks Inara, you pick Barik. If you're given the choice between Terminus and Barik, and the map isn't one of Terminus's ones, you ask your team, because their value is nearly exactly the same. Yes, I'm not going to lie to you. The 3-point tanks, Inara is the best because she does not happen to be situational. Terminus is almost at the level of Inara, and then Barik is just a tiny step below, under them. That's how you would pick a point tank. Again, Inara, anywhere, Terminus, his maps, Barik, when Terminus is banned and an enemy has Inara. Now, some of you might be wondering about, hey, what if we ban Terminus and then pick both Inara and Barik? Well, congratulations, you have 2-point tanks. One of them, or two of them, you know, either of them, they can sort of work as off tanks, but not that great, okay? For example, Khan's stun is gonna be forcing Barik really not to think of off tanking against Khan. Inara will, if she's playing Treacherous Grounds, you know, because off tank, right? No, okay, whatever. If she's playing that, then he cannot dash to grab her because the crippling field will stop him. However, his ultimate will grab her out of that. You know, she's not CC immune in her Earthen Guard unless she's running Mother's Grace. And this is the case. You know, neither of these two really works at all nearly as an off tank. Can be used, but not that great. Just not great enough. So what about the other way around? Pick Inara and Terminus and let the enemy have Barik. You don't need to ban Barik. Well, in this case, here is the thing. This can work since Terminus is an off tank, but you need to have Khan banned, because Khan will bully Terminus most of the time. The thing about this sort of composition is the way you play it. You start by having your entire team on one flank, then once you've alleviated some pressure from that flank, or if, for example, if the entire enemy team is on the other flank, you sort of can put both tanks, and this is a bad idea by the way, don't ever stack 2 tanks on the point. But if you do, Terminus plus Inara will really put the hurt on the enemy Barik. He'll really die fast. It used to happen even when Barik had his incredible sustain, and Inara does not need to be playing Cripple Inara for that to happen. Okay, so that's a weird composition. Don't play it, it's not that great. It's always gonna be better having a really good off tank like Ashe or Khan. You know, that's always gonna be better. The last way or weird way of playing Paladins in regards to point tanks was used in 2019 to grab easy victories, which was you ban Inara and one of the other point tanks. Now, this is up to you. Most likely it's gonna be Terminus, you know. After you've done that, you get Io if she's not banned, or Barik if Io is banned. Then the enemy is sort of forced to pick a lesser tank, you know, a lesser point tank, in order to contest the objective. Guess what you do next? Now that Inara and Terminus aren't in the game, and you have either Barik or Io, all you need to do is add up Genos and 3 DPS. And then you've basically got way too much damage for the enemy to handle. They're really gonna have a hard time getting you off the point, you know, even if you're just running Luna. That strategy on Ascension Peak was way too good. Now, in this meta currently, it still can work, but the problem is you're leaving all of the bad to deal with champions open. Those are gonna be BK, the snipers. On specific maps, there are specific champions too. It's not a good strategy anymore. It's a strategy that was good in 2019, simply put because, well, off tanks were good enough to deal with those pesky snipers or even with BK. Not so true anymore right now. Alright, this video is going long, but still I have to talk about the potential of the other tanks as point tanks. Now, the order of this goes like this. Makoa on half shell. The only damage source that's going to be damaging him while he has his shield up is the enemy point tank. Now, if he's on the point, here's the thing. People know how to ignore your shield and start shooting whatever else is inside. So basically, you're only gonna get one reset or none. Sometimes you will end up against players that will give you the full resets. That's good, but that's not the common situation. So this is why Makoa does not currently happen to be a good point tank. Okay, even in the past, he was never ever a good point tank. Ashe. You know, while Fortress Breaker can work, still I wouldn't run Ashe as a point tank. She does way greater things as an off tank. Just play anyone else. If you're forced to, then okay, you're forced to. Just play her as a point tank then. because you were forced to. Next up, Fernando. Same situation with Ashe, except as an off-tank he's a little bit less good than her because of his range. You know, he can't even use something like Slug Shot to increase the range. He's still good, but I mean, there are literally no situations where you would pick Fernando over Ashe, even as a point tank. And finally, you have both of these. None of them works as a point tank. Torvald simply becomes way too squishy late game, since his HP is 3k, his shield is gonna get 1 or 2 shot because people buy Wrecker for you, and that's that. He doesn't work as a point tank. He's not even considered an off tank by some. You know, Ruckus, you don't want Ruckus on the point. You just don't want Ruckus on the point. Free up Ruckus to dive the enemy backliner and either finish off the support and then try to escape, or finish off the enemy backline damage and then try to escape. You know, maybe if his flanker helps him, that's gonna give him the win. The thing about Ruckus is he's really good. You just gotta have, you know, you gotta be in higher elo to play Ruckus. You need to be there, because everyone in mid to lower elo will underrate him and underestimate him. That's the case why I am still level 14 on him, by the way. You know, even if I'm just level 17 on Ashe. The thing is, you know, just look at my levels. You now know what I play, right? Io, Genos, Furia, tanks. I used to be a really good Barik main. Now I'm switching to Inara. I'm really trying to learn how to play Khan correctly. I'm kind of hit or miss on him. One match I'm really the best Khan in the world. Next match I miss every single ult. Ashe, I'm really, you know, in the situation where I'm always in a duo with my friends, you know, most of my friends are already grandmasters. They always prefer me to be either the point tank or the support, because they always cannot rely on randoms for those roles. Now, as an off tank that makes space for a flanker, you know, when I duo with a flank main, I do play Ashe or Khan and make space for them. Still, I have not yet played all that much as an off tank. You might notice that I've played Atlas more than Ashe, but not in ranked. Okay, Atlas is sort of in a sorry state where, you know, he's kind of really hit or miss, and the only situation where you would play him is, again, Ice Mines, Terminus is banned, the enemy has Dredge. That's the only situation I can think of right now where I would pick Atlas. Well, the summary of this video. Terminus is S rank in a tier list, okay? On his maps only. On the maps that don't support him, he's worse than both Inara and Barik. Then you've got Inara. She's also S rank because she works anywhere. She doesn't get banned, but her job is her job. She's a point tank. She just lives, and her ultimate is good, you know? Barik is A rank. He's just a tiny bit lower than them. All of the other tanks are F tier or Z tier, whatever you want to call it, because simply put, you don't put the other tanks on the point. You never want Khan on the point. You never want Ruckus or Torvald on the point. You never want Raum on the point. What you're left with is Ashe, passable, can work, but not good. Not even close to being good. Fernando used to be a point tank, and then he became Flank Nando, and then he became nothing, and then they tried to revive Flank Nando, but then failed at it. And then Ashe is better than him. You know, if Ashe doesn't exist, Fernando would have been like one of the best off tanks in the game right now, because he does exactly her job, which is bullying flankers. Still, no, just don't run Fernando as a point tank unless you're forced to. Okay, unless you're forced to. I sort of think that, you know, as a point tank, Fernando, if Khan is banned, just if only Khan is banned, is better than Ashe as a point tank. Then you've got these sad things. I don't know what to say. No, don't run neither Torvald, nor Ruckus, nor Raum as point tanks. They just simply die and melt so fast. Well, thanks for watching, and hope you're enjoying Paladins.